On the morning of April 13th, 2025, my daughter-in-law threw my wedding china out a second-story window and told me to die in a nursing home. I stood in my front yard in Savannah, Georgia, and watched 40 years of my life shatter across the sidewalk while neighbors gathered to stare. My son, my only child, stood on the porch with his hands in his pockets, saying nothing. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I picked up the frame with my wedding photo, wiped the mud off with my sleeve, and said just one thing. "Did you read the name on the back of that lottery ticket?" My daughter-in-law's smile froze for exactly 3 seconds, and that one question, those 11 words, would change everything. I'm Zora Eleanor Bell, and I want to tell you my story. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end, because what looks like the end of an old woman's life turned out to be the beginning of something else entirely. 7 years earlier, February 2018, let me take you back to where it started so you understand how I ended up standing in that yard. My name is Zora Eleanor Bell. I was born December 12, 1960, in Atlanta, Georgia, to Samuel and Ruth Washington. We didn't have much, but we had each other and we had faith. Mount Zion Baptist Church on Sundays, soul food on the table, gospel music filling the house. That was home. I met Jerome Anthony Bell in 1980 at a church picnic in Piedmont Park. He was 22, I was 19. He wore a green shirt and carried a Bible with his name embossed in gold on the cover. He made me laugh within 5 minutes of meeting me. We were married 8 months later, on August 15, 1981. We moved to Savannah that same year when Jerome got work at the port. We bought a 2-story house at 847 Whitaker Street in the Historic District. Cost us $68,000, which might as well have been $1 million back then. We paid it off in 23 years. Every spare dollar, every extra shift Jerome worked, every summer I taught remedial reading instead of taking vacation, it all went into that house. I taught 2nd grade at Oglethorpe Elementary School for 30 years. Jerome worked logistics at the Port of Savannah for 32. We didn't get rich, but we built something. A home, a life, a family. Our son, Elijah Jerome Bell, was born May 5, 1993. We named him after both our fathers. He was a good boy, smart, kind, played basketball, sang in the youth choir. Jerome used to say, "That boy's got your heart, Zora, and my stubborn streak." Jerome died February 3, 2018. Heart attack at 62 years old. Dropped in the front yard while taking out the trash. He was gone before the ambulance arrived. I was 57 years old, and suddenly the house that had always been full of laughter was so quiet I could hear every clock ticking at night. 3 weeks after the funeral, on February 24, 2018, Elijah showed up on my porch in a rainstorm. He was 24 years old, soaking wet, holding a suitcase. Behind him stood a woman I'd met exactly twice before, Rebecca Lynn Taylor, now Rebecca Taylor Bell. They'd gotten married 4 months earlier at a courthouse. I wasn't invited. "Mom," Elijah said, water dripping from his jacket. "I lost my job. The apartment manager wants 2 months' rent by Monday. Rebecca's pregnant. We don't have anywhere to go." I didn't hesitate, didn't ask questions. I opened the door and said, "Come in. This house held 3 generations. It can hold 1 more." Rebecca smiled at me, a sweet smile. "Thank you so much, Mama Zora. Just for a few weeks until Elijah finds something." A few weeks turned into 7 years. At first, everything seemed fine. I gave Elijah and Rebecca the big bedroom on the 1st floor, the one with the east-facing windows, the one Jerome and I slept in for 37 years. "The morning sun is good for the baby," I said. I moved my things upstairs to the smaller bedroom. Elijah squeezed my hand. "Thanks, Mom. I'll pay you back soon." Kai was born in October, a beautiful boy, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. I held him in the hospital and thanked God for letting me see my grandchild. I thought, this is what Jerome would have wanted. Family together. I paid the mortgage that month, $847, and the month after, and the month after that. Elijah was looking for work. Rebecca stayed home with the baby. It made sense. I had my teacher's pension, $2,412 a month. I could cover it. I didn't mind. Family takes care of family. Little things started changing. Rebecca wanted to work from home. She'd gotten some consulting work for her old company. Mama Zora, she said in that sweet voice, I need a quiet space to work. Would you mind moving up to the attic? It's more private. You'd have more peace and quiet. The attic, the storage space. Low ceilings, no insulation, hot as an oven in summer. But I said yes. I wanted to help. I wanted to keep the peace. So I moved my things up another flight of stairs. My bedroom became her home office. I could hear her on video calls down there, laughing, talking about quarterly projections. Meanwhile, I was eating dinner alone in my own kitchen, because that was the other change. Rebecca started having adult dinners with friends. I'd cook my pot roast, my mac and cheese, my collard greens, the recipes Jerome loved. I'd set the table like always. Then Rebecca would come in, smile, and say, Mama Zora, I saved you a plate in the kitchen. We need to discuss some work things. Adult conversation, you know? I'd take my plate to the kitchen, close the door, eat alone under the fluorescent light while I heard laughter from the dining room. From my dining room, at my table. And Elijah said nothing. Kai started talking. First words, first sentences. I spent hours with that boy, reading to him, teaching him his ABCs. One day he called me Grandma, and Rebecca's face tightened. Actually, sweetie, she said, her voice sugar-sweet, let's call her Miss Zora. Grandma makes her sound so old. Miss Zora is younger. It's more respectful. Miss Zora, not Grandma, not Meemaw, not Nana, Miss Zora, like I was the help. Kai looked confused, but he was 3 years old. He did what his mama told him. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried where no one could hear me. Then I washed my face and went back to playing blocks with my grandson like nothing had happened. Because what was I going to do? Start a fight over a name? Push my son to choose between his wife and his mother? I'd lose. I knew I'd lose. So I stayed quiet. Elijah got part-time work doing deliveries. $10 an hour, maybe 25 hours a week when he was lucky. That's $250 a week, $1,000 a month. Our bills were more than that. Mortgage, $847. Electricity, $193. Water, $68. Internet, $89. Groceries, $400 minimum for 5 people. Car insurance, $132. I was covering almost everything from my pension. Elijah would hand me $100 here and there, look embarrassed, say, "It's what I got, Mom." I told him it was fine. I told him I was happy to help. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't find out for 3 more years, was that Rebecca was taking Elijah's paychecks. All of them. Direct deposit went to an account I didn't know about. She was spending it on clothes, lunches out, a gym membership, manicures, while I ate store-brand crackers and cheese for lunch to save money. Rebecca started setting rules. Mama Zora, no sweets for the kids after 6 p.m. The house needs to be spotless by noon on Thursdays. I have clients video calling. Could you fold the towels this way? The old way looks messy. The kids are on a schedule now. Don't feed them unless I tell you it's time. Little by little, I became a tenant in my own house. A servant, someone who followed orders. I kept a notebook, small, blue, spiral-bound. I started writing things down. Not to build a case, I didn't know I'd need one yet. Just to feel like I existed. Like what was happening was real. April 3rd, Rebecca yelled at me for giving Kai a cookie at 4 p.m., said I was undermining her authority. May 17th, paid electric bill, $211. Rebecca said they'd pay me back next month. They didn't. June 22nd, Amara called me Grandma. Rebecca corrected her in front of me. My heart broke a little more. Small cuts. 1,000 small cuts. I stopped going to Mount Zion Baptist Church. Not because I wanted to, because I was ashamed. Sister Dorothy would ask, "Zora, why you look so tired? That girl feeding you right?" And I'd smile and say everything was fine because what else could I say? The truth? That I was living in the attic of my own house? That I'd paid $71,400 in bills over 5 years while my daughter-in-law bought designer purses? I couldn't say it. It felt like failure. It felt like I'd done something wrong to deserve this. That's what abuse does. It makes you think you're the problem. Kai's 8th birthday was coming up. April 1st, 2025. He'd been talking about a bicycle for months. A specific one. Turquoise blue with a white basket and silver streamers. We'd seen it at Harper's Sporting Goods downtown. Cost $185. I'd been saving. $5 here, $10 there, cutting my grocery budget, skipping my blood pressure medication refill 1 month to save the $35 copay. By March 28th, I had $193.42. On March 29th, I walked to Harper's and bought that bike, asked them to wrap it in silver paper with a blue bow. When the sunlight hit the paper, it sparkled. I hid it in the garage under an old tarp. I couldn't sleep that night, imagining Kai's face when he saw it. April 1st came. I made heart-shaped pancakes with strawberries and whipped cream. I hung balloons by the window. I set the table nice. The house smelled like cinnamon and sugar. Kai came downstairs in his Spider-Man pajamas, grinning ear to ear. "It's my birthday, Miss Zora. Did you remember?" "Of course, baby. I have a surprise for you." Rebecca walked in, still in her bathrobe, hair in a messy bun. She looked at the balloons, the fancy breakfast, and frowned. "Mom, what is all this? We talked about not making a big deal." "It's just breakfast," I said gently. "Didn't cost much." She poured orange juice, turned to me, and said in that sweet, poisonous voice, "You know, Elijah and I agreed we want to teach Kai about saving this year. No expensive gifts. We want him to understand the value of money." I looked at Kai, watched his smile fade. "Don't worry," I said quietly. "It's just a small present, nothing extravagant." Rebecca raised one eyebrow. "Small? We'll see." That afternoon I took Kai to the garage, pulled back the tarp. His eyes went wide. "Oh my gosh," he breathed. Is that really for me?" "Happy birthday, sweetheart." He threw his arms around me. "Thank you, Miss Zora. Thank you, thank you." For about 30 seconds, my heart was full. Then I heard heels clicking on concrete. "What is this?" Rebecca stood in the doorway, arms crossed, face tight with anger. "It's just a bike," I said, keeping my voice calm. "I told you no expensive gifts." "He's 8 years old once, Rebecca. He's been dreaming about this. That's not the point. The point is you're breaking our parenting rules. You did this to make us look bad, didn't you?" Elijah appeared behind her. "Beck, it's just—" "No, Elijah, your mother is undermining us, again." I looked at my son, waited for him to defend me, to say something, anything. He looked at his shoes. Rebecca crouched down to Kai's level. Her voice went soft, fake gentle. "Sweetie, we just want you to learn to appreciate things. This bike isn't appropriate right now. Miss Zora is going to return it, and then you'll understand why grown-ups have to be responsible." Kai's lip trembled. "But Miss Zora saved up—" "That's enough," Rebecca snapped. Then to me, "Return it by Monday, or I will." I looked at Elijah. He wouldn't meet my eyes. That afternoon, I walked that bike back to Harper's. Each step felt like carrying a stone. The silver bow fluttered in the breeze. I kept thinking about Kai's face. The clerk, a kid maybe 19, said, "You sure, ma'am? It's our last one." "Yes," I said. My hand shook signing the return slip. The little girl changed her mind. I got $185 back. Cash. I folded it into my wallet. That night I couldn't sleep. The house was dark and quiet. I lay in my attic bed, listening to the sound of nothing, and felt something inside me shift. Not anger yet. Something colder. Clarity. At 11:43 p.m., I got dressed, put on my brown coat, walked down 3 flights of stairs, careful not to wake anyone, stepped out into the April night. The corner store, Williams Food Mart, was 2 blocks away at the corner of Whitaker and Liberty. Mr. Samuel Williams had owned it for 46 years. Jerome used to buy his newspaper there every Sunday. The lights were still on. Mr. Sam was sweeping the floor, getting ready to close at midnight. The bell chimed when I walked in. "Miss Zora?" He looked up, surprised. His face creased with concern. "You all right? It's late." "Couldn't sleep," I said. Which was true. I walked past the refrigerators, past the candy aisle, past the lottery counter. Then I stopped, turned back. Above the register, a yellow sign. Powerball jackpot, $85 million. I stood there for a long moment. Then I said, "Sam, give me 1 ticket. Powerball." He raised his eyebrows but didn't ask questions. Pulled out the form. "You want quick pick?" "No, I have my numbers." The same numbers I'd played for 40 years. The numbers Jerome picked on our first anniversary. 8, I said. For August, Kai's birth month. 5, for May, Amara's birth month. 19, for January 19th, Jerome's birthday. 32, Elijah's age. 47. For the 47 years Jerome and I would have been married this August. And Powerball 12, for December, my birth month. Mr. Sam printed the ticket, handed it to me. Same numbers 40 years running, huh? These numbers are my family, I said quietly, even when they forget me. Then I did something Jerome had taught me when we first got married. I pulled out the fountain pen he'd given me in 1983, the one with my initials engraved on the clip, ZEB. I turned the ticket over, and in my careful, slanted cursive, I signed Zora Eleanor Bell, my full name, clear as day, legal and binding. Mr. Sam watched me. Jerome always said to sign it, didn't he? He did. Said people can argue about a lot of things, but they can't argue with a signature. I looked up at Mr. Sam. Can I get the receipt? He printed it. Time-stamped. 11:47 p.m., April 12th, 2025. Location, Williams Food Mart, 847 Whitaker Street. I folded the receipt and put it in my wallet. Separate from the ticket. Safe. Hope you get what you're wishing for, Miss Zora, Mr. Sam said gently. I smiled, sad but steady. I'm not wishing for money, Sam. I'm wishing for a way out. I walked home in the dark. The streets were empty. Streetlights cast long shadows. When I got back to 847 Whitaker, I stood on the sidewalk for a moment, looking at the house Jerome and I built. The windows were dark, everyone asleep. I went inside, quiet as a ghost, and I left that lottery ticket on the kitchen table, right in the center, where anyone could see it. Not hidden, not locked away, right there. Because I wanted to know. I wanted to know if anyone would ask, Mama, is this your ticket? I wanted to know if I still existed in this house. I went up to the attic, lay down, listened to the night sounds, the house settling, a car passing, wind in the trees. And I prayed. Not for money, not for revenge. I prayed for truth. Whatever was going to happen, I wanted the truth. The next morning, April 13th, 2025, at 6:47 a.m., I woke to screaming. The scream tore through the house like a siren. Elijah, get down here now! Rebecca's voice, high-pitched, frantic, coming from the kitchen. I was already awake, had been since 5:30. I'd lain in my attic bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if today would be the day, wondering if they'd see that ticket, wondering what they'd do. Now I knew. I sat up slowly, put on my slippers, my purple bathrobe, walked to the top of the attic stairs and listened. Footsteps thundering. Elijah's voice, groggy with sleep. What's wrong? Is it the kids? No, look at this! Silence for maybe 5 seconds. Then, oh my God. Elijah, do you see this? Do you see? That can't be. Check your phone. Check the numbers. Check them. More silence. The kind that feels like the whole world is holding its breath. Then Elijah's voice, barely above a whisper. We won. We won $85 million. Screaming, laughing, crying. The sound of feet jumping on my kitchen floor. The sound of my son and his wife celebrating like they'd just been handed the key to heaven. I stood at the top of the stairs, watching, listening. Not one of them said, "Where did this ticket come from?" Not one of them said, "Mom, is this yours?" Not one of them even thought to ask. I walked down slowly, one flight, then another. They didn't hear me coming over their own noise. When I reached the kitchen doorway, I stopped. Rebecca was holding the ticket up to the light, hands trembling. She was wearing a silk nightgown, probably cost more than my monthly pension. Her blonde hair was messy, makeup smeared from sleep, but her eyes were bright with something almost manic. Elijah stood beside her in his boxer shorts and a t-shirt, staring at his phone, then at the ticket, then back at his phone. His hands were shaking too. 85 million, Rebecca breathed. Oh my God, baby, we're rich. We're finally rich. She kissed the ticket, actually kissed it, like it was a holy object. We can buy a house, Elijah said, his voice still shocked. A real house, with a yard. And not just a house, Rebecca interrupted. A mansion, on Tybee Island, with an ocean view. And we'll get a new car, No, 2 new cars. And that's when she saw me, standing in the doorway, watching them. For just a second, maybe 2, something flickered across her face. Guilt? Fear? I don't know. But it disappeared fast, replaced by that bright, brittle smile. "Mama Zora," she said it like we were best friends. "Can you believe it? We found a lottery ticket on the table and it won $85 million. Isn't that incredible?" Found. That's the word she used. "Where did y'all find it?" I asked. My voice was calm, quiet. "Right here," Rebecca said, gesturing at the kitchen table. "Just sitting here. Someone must have left it. Doesn't matter now. Finders keepers, right?" She laughed, a high, nervous laugh. I looked at Elijah, my son, the boy I raised, the man who promised to protect me. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Mm-hmm," I said. "Well, congratulations." I turned, walked back up the stairs, each step deliberate, calm. Behind me, I heard Rebecca say, "Did you see her face? I think she's jealous." Elijah didn't respond. I went to my attic room, sat on my bed, and opened my wallet. The receipt was still there, time-stamped, dated, signed by Mr. Sam Williams. Purchase, Powerball ticket. Date, April 12th, 2025. Time, 11:47 p.m. Total, $2. And below it, in Mr. Sam's handwriting, customer signature on ticket obtained. I folded it carefully, put it in an envelope, wrote on the envelope, evidence number 1. Then I got dressed. Nice clothes. A navy dress, my pearl earrings that Jerome gave me for our 30th anniversary. I did my hair proper. Put on lipstick, because I had calls to make. And I was done being invisible. I walked to Williams Food Mart. Didn't want to make this call from the house where they could hear. Mr. Sam was behind the counter, reading the newspaper. When I walked in, he looked up and smiled. Then his smile faded. "Miss Zora, you heard?" I heard. "The ticket that won, that was the one from last night, wasn't it? Your numbers." "It was." His face went hard. "And they claimed it." "They did." He shook his head slowly. "That ain't right." "No, sir, it's not." I pulled out a piece of paper. "Sam, I need to ask you something. Do you still have the security camera footage from last night?" "I do. Keeps recordings for 30 days. Can you save April 12th for me? 11:45 to midnight?" He looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Already done. Soon as I heard the winning numbers this morning, I made a backup, just in case. Thank you." "Zora," he said gently, "you gonna fight this?" "I'm going to do what's right," I said. "Can I use your phone? It's important." He handed me the cordless from behind the counter. I dialed the number I'd written down. Georgia State Lottery Commission. I'd looked it up in the phone book that morning. It rang 4 times. Then, "Georgia Lottery, Claims Department. This is Grant Holloway speaking." "Mr. Holloway, my name is Zora Eleanor Bell. I need to report a lottery ticket dispute." There was a brief pause. "What kind of dispute, ma'am?" "I purchased a Powerball ticket on April 12th at 11:47 p.m. I signed my name on the back. This morning, 2 people in my household claimed it was theirs. I have the receipt, the security footage, and I can prove it's mine." "What's the ticket number, Mrs. Bell?" I read it off the receipt. I heard typing, then, "Mrs. Bell, that ticket is registered as the jackpot winner. $85 million. And you're saying?" "I'm saying it's mine. I bought it. I signed it. And I want to claim it properly." More typing. "Mrs. Bell, has anyone else attempted to claim this ticket yet?" "Not officially, but they will." "Okay, here's what's going to happen. Don't touch that ticket if it's still in the house. Don't let anyone cash it. The signature on the back is legally binding. If your name is on it, you're the owner. Can you come to our office with your identification and the receipt?" "Yes, sir." "How about tomorrow morning? 10 a.m. I'll clear my schedule." "I'll be there. And Mrs. Bell, if anyone tries to claim that ticket before then, we'll need to see matching identification. If the name on the ticket doesn't match the name on their ID, we won't process it." I smiled. First real smile in I don't know how long. "Thank you, Mr. Holloway. One more thing. Do you have somewhere safe to stay? Sometimes in these situations, family members can become aggressive." "I'm working on that." When I hung up, Mr. Sam was watching me. "You got a plan?" he asked. "I'm building one." I walked across the street to 851 Whitaker. knocked on Sister Dorothy's door. She opened it with flour on her hands, wearing an apron. When she saw my face, hers changed. "Zora, come in, baby. What's wrong?" I stepped inside. Her house smelled like cornbread and greens. The TV was on in the living room, local news. "Dot, I need to tell you something." We sat at her kitchen table. I told her everything. The bike, the lottery ticket, the receipt, the screaming this morning, the call to the lottery commission. When I finished, she sat back, arms crossed, face tight with anger. "That girl threw your things out the window once before, didn't she? Last summer? How did you—" "Baby, I see things. I saw her throw your good coat out when she was mad about something. I saw her lock you out of your own house for 2 hours in the heat. I saw it all and I should have said something. It's not your fault. The hell it's not." She stood up, pacing. "That woman has been abusing you for 7 years and we all just watched. The whole church, the whole neighborhood. We knew and we called it family business and stayed out of it." "Dot, no. I'm saying this now because you need to hear it. You are not crazy. You are not difficult. You are not the problem. That woman is abusing you, and your son is letting her, and it's wrong." I felt tears prick my eyes. Not sad tears. Relief tears. "Thank you," I whispered. She sat back down, took my hands. "What do you need?" "I need a place to stay, just for a few days, until I can get this sorted." "You got it. Guest room is yours. And Dot, I need you to watch my house. Write down everything you see. Cars that come. People who visit. What they take out. Can you do that?" She nodded slowly. "You building a case?" "I'm protecting myself." "Good." She squeezed my hands. "It's about damn time." I went back to the house one more time, to pack. When I walked in, Rebecca was on the phone, laptop open, legal pad covered in notes. She looked up when she saw me, and her expression was different, harder. "I need to talk to you," she said, covering the phone. "In private." We went to the living room. My living room. The one with Jerome's chair, his bookshelf, our wedding photo on the mantel. She closed the door. "Elijah and I have been talking," she said, voice crisp, professional. "We've decided to move. Obviously, with this money, we can afford our own place. A better place." "I see. And we both think, it would be better if you didn't come with us." I didn't say anything, just waited. "You're 64 years old, Zora. That's retirement age. You should be somewhere with people your own age. We've been looking at assisted living facilities. This is my house," I said quietly. "Was your house." She emphasized the word. "Things change. And frankly, with our new financial situation, it doesn't make sense to have you living with us. We need space. We need privacy. The kids need their own rooms. Rebecca, my name is on the deed of this house." She smiled. Not a nice smile. "Actually, I checked. Elijah's name is on the deed too. Jerome added him 15 years ago, right? Which means Elijah has as much right to this house as you do. And he agrees with me." My heart sank. She was right. Jerome had added Elijah to the deed in 2010 when Elijah turned 18. "So our boy always has a home," he'd said. "So here's what's going to happen," Rebecca continued. "You're going to pack your things, today, and you're going to move out. We'll give you first month's rent at a nice senior community. Call it a gift. And if I don't," her face went cold, "then we'll make it very uncomfortable for you to stay." There it was, the truth underneath the sweet words and fake smiles. "I see," I said. "Good. I'm glad we understand each other." She turned to leave. "Rebecca?" She looked back. "Did you read the name on the back of that lottery ticket?" Her smile froze, just for a second. Then, "I don't know what you're talking about." "You will." I went up to the attic to pack. 20 minutes later, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, fast, angry. Rebecca burst in. No knocking. She went straight to my closet, started pulling out my clothes, my dresses, my shoes, the quilt my grandmother made. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Helping you pack, since you're moving so slow." She threw an armful of dresses toward the attic window. I ran over. "Rebecca, stop!" She opened the window and threw them out. I watched my purple dress, the one I wore to Jerome's funeral, fall 2 stories and land in the azalea bushes. "Rebecca, please!" She went back to the closet, grabbed the box with Jerome's things, his reading glasses, his watch, his Bible. "No!" I lunged for it, but she shoved me back. Not hard enough to make me fall, but hard enough to make her point. She opened the window wider and dumped the box out. I heard glass shatter. Jerome's wedding photo. The frame we'd had for 44 years. "Mama, what are you doing?" Elijah appeared in the doorway, face pale. "Helping her pack," Rebecca said, breathing hard. "Like we discussed." "I didn't say throw her things out the window." "Well, she wasn't moving, Elijah." I walked to the window, looked down. My whole life was scattered across the front yard. Neighbors were starting to come out. Sister Dorothy stood on her porch, phone in her hand, filming. Rebecca wasn't done. She grabbed my wedding china, the good plates, the ones Jerome and I got as gifts, that I'd protected for 44 years. She held them up. "These two," she said, looking right at me. "Please," I said quietly. "Those were my wedding gift. You don't need them where you're going." She threw them, one by one. I watched them explode on the concrete. White porcelain and gold trim. 44 years of careful washing and storing and loving. Gone in seconds. The neighbors were gathering now. Mr. Patterson from next door. The Williams family from down the street. All watching. Rebecca went to the window and yelled down, "We don't need to do charity for you anymore. Go die in a nursing home." The yard went silent. Elijah stood frozen in the doorway. I looked at him. My son, my only child. "You're going to let this happen?" I asked. His voice cracked. "Mom, Rebecca's she's stressed. We'll figure it out." "No, Elijah, you already figured it out. You chose." I walked downstairs, calm, steady. Sister Dorothy met me at the bottom. "Come on, baby. Let's get your things." We picked up what wasn't broken. My dresses, muddy but salvageable. Jerome's Bible, the spine cracked but readable. The wedding photo, the frame shattered, but the picture intact. A yellow taxi pulled up. I don't know who called it. Maybe Dorothy. I put my things in the trunk. The driver, a young man with kind eyes, didn't ask questions. Before I got in, I turned back. Rebecca stood on the porch, arms crossed. Victorious. Elijah stood next to her, hands in his pockets. Destroyed. The neighbors watched in silence, and I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Did you read the name on the back of that lottery ticket?" Rebecca's smile faltered. "Just for a moment." "I have no idea what you're talking about," she said. "You will." I got in the taxi. "Peachtree Inn, please, on Oglethorpe." As we pulled away, I looked back one more time. Kai and Amara were at the upstairs window, pressed against the glass, crying. That hurt more than anything else. The Peachtree Inn cost $47 a night. The room was small, just a bed, a bathroom, a table, and a chair. The wallpaper was peeling. The air smelled like old cigarettes and industrial cleaner. But it was mine. I unpacked what I had, hung my muddy dresses in the shower to dry, set Jerome's photo on the nightstand, put his Bible next to it. Then I sat on the bed and opened my purse. The lottery receipt. Safe. I'd also grabbed something else before I left. My expense notebook. 7 years of records. Every bill paid. Every dollar spent. I opened to a random page. June 2021. Mortgage. $847. Electric. $203. Water. $71. Rebecca's car payment. She asked me to cover just this once. $487. Total. $1,608 from my pension. Another page, December 2022, mortgage, $847, electric, $198, water, $68. Christmas gifts for Kai and Amara, Rebecca said don't go overboard. $156, I spent $312. Groceries, $421. Elijah's phone bill, $97. Total, $1,687 from my pension. Page after page after page. I did rough math in my head. 7 years. Average about $1,800 a month. $151,200. $151,200 I'd paid to keep a roof over their heads while they treated me like trash. I sat there for a long time. Not crying, not angry, just clear. There was a knock at the door. I opened it. Sister Dorothy stood there with a plate covered in foil. Fried chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, and cornbread, she said. You need to eat. We sat on the bed together, ate right there with plastic forks, like we were kids at a sleepover. What are you going to do? She asked. Tomorrow morning I meet with the Lottery Commission. I show them the receipt, the signature, everything. I claim what's mine. And then? Then I wait. I let Rebecca and Elijah spend money they don't have. I let them celebrate. I let them show everyone who they really are. Dorothy looked at me. That's cold, Zora. No, Dot, it's clarity. She nodded slowly. You need anything, you call me, day or night. I will. After she left, I sat at the little table, pulled out the notebook, and wrote, April 13th, 2025, the day I stopped being quiet. Then I turned off the light and went to sleep. For the first time in 7 years, I slept through the night. Grant Holloway's office was on the 3rd floor of the Georgia Lottery headquarters on Memorial Drive in Atlanta. I took the Greyhound bus that morning, left Savannah at 6 a.m., arrived at 9:30. Cost me $38 round trip. I wore my navy dress, the one that survived the window, carried my purse with everything inside, the receipt, my driver's license, my Social Security card, and my expense notebook. Grant Holloway was younger than I expected, maybe 45, black man, tall with silver starting at his temples. He stood when I walked in and shook my hand firm. Mrs. Bell, please sit down. His office was neat, law degree on the wall for memory. Photo of him with 2 teenage boys, American flag in the corner. Thank you for seeing me, I said. Of course. Now let's verify everything. He pulled out a form. Full name? Zora Eleanor Bell. Date of birth? December 12th, 1960. Address? 847 Whitaker Street, Savannah, Georgia, though I'm temporarily staying elsewhere. He noted that. And you claim you purchased the winning Powerball ticket on April 12th? Yes, sir. I pulled out the receipt, laid it on his desk. He examined it carefully. Williams Food Mart. Timestamp 11:47 p.m. Ticket number matches. He looked up. You have the actual ticket? No, sir, it's still at my house. I left it on the kitchen table. My son and daughter-in-law found it the next morning. And they believe it's theirs? Yes, sir. But you signed the back? Yes, sir, with this pen. I showed him Jerome's fountain pen. My full legal name, Zora Eleanor Bell. He made notes. Mrs. Bell, I need to tell you something. We received a call yesterday afternoon. A woman named Rebecca Taylor Bell contacted us claiming she was the rightful owner of the ticket. She said she purchased it, and that you... He paused, uncomfortable. That you suffer from dementia and confusion, and that you're trying to steal it from her. My jaw tightened, but I kept my voice steady. Mr. Holloway, does dementia make a person suddenly forget how to write their own name? Because the signature on that ticket is mine, and I can prove it. I believe you can. He opened a folder. We pulled security footage from Williams Food Mart. Would you like to see it? He turned his computer screen toward me, pressed play. There I was, clear as day, walking into the store at 11:46 p.m., talking to Mr. Sam, taking the lottery slip, filling in the numbers, watching the ticket print, taking out Jerome's pen, signing the back carefully, putting the ticket in my coat pocket, getting the receipt. That's me, I said quietly. I know. Your signature on the video matches the signature on file with your driver's license. It also matches the signature on the ticket itself. We had the store send us a photo. He pulled out a printed image. The back of the lottery ticket. My handwriting, clear and unmistakable. Zora Eleanor Bell. This ticket is legally yours, Mrs. Bell. No question. I felt something release in my chest, something I'd been holding tight for 24 hours. However, he continued, I need to warn you. Mrs. Taylor Bell sent us a document yesterday, a medical evaluation claiming you have diminished mental capacity. He slid a paper across the desk. I read it. My hands started shaking. Patient, Zora Eleanor Bell, age 64. Diagnosis, progressive dementia, memory impairment, financial confusion. Recommendation, legal guardian required for financial decisions. Signed, Dr. Richard Foster, M.D. I have never seen this doctor in my life, I said, voice tight. I know. We called his office. Dr. Foster is a real physician, but he says he's never treated you. Someone forged this. Rebecca. Most likely, which means she's committed fraud. And if we can prove it, she could face criminal charges. I sat back, thinking. Then, Mr. Holloway, can you give me 1 week before you do anything official? He frowned. Why? Because I want to see how far this goes. I want evidence of everything she does, every lie she tells, every dollar she spends, and then I want to bring it all to light at once. He studied me for a long moment. You're not looking for revenge, are you? No, sir. I'm looking for justice. There's a difference. There is. He leaned forward. Okay, 1 week. But Mrs. Bell, if she tries to cash that ticket, we won't let her. The name doesn't match. She can't claim it without your signature on the claim form. Good. One more thing. He pulled out a business card. This is my direct number. You call me day or night if you feel unsafe, and I'm going to recommend you speak with an attorney, not just about the lottery, about everything. I will. As I stood to leave, he said, Mrs. Bell, for what it's worth, I've worked here 12 years. I've seen a lot of lottery disputes, family against family, friend against friend, but I've never seen someone handle it with as much dignity as you. Thank you, Mr. Holloway. My husband taught me that dignity doesn't cost a thing, and it's the one thing nobody can take from you. I spent the next week building my case. I hired an attorney. His name was James Mitchell, 62 years old, black man, been practicing family law in Savannah for 34 years. Sister Dorothy recommended him. His office was on Broughton Street. When I told him everything, he listened without interrupting. Then he said, Mrs. Bell, what you're describing is elder financial abuse. It's a crime in Georgia, and we're going to document every bit of it. I went back to Williams Food Mart. Mr. Sam had burned the security footage to a DVD for me. We watched it together in his back office. That's evidence, he said, clear as day. I also asked him to write a statement. I, Samuel Williams, owner of Williams Food Mart, hereby confirm that on April 12, 2025, at approximately 11:47 p.m., Mrs. Zora Eleanor Bell purchased a Powerball lottery ticket at my store. I witnessed her select her numbers, receive the ticket, and sign her full legal name on the back. She also requested and received a time-stamped receipt. Mrs. Bell has been a customer at my store for 43 years and has played the same lottery numbers for approximately 40 years, numbers that her late husband Jerome Bell originally selected. He signed it, dated it, notarized it at the bank. Sister Dorothy brought me her notes. She'd been watching my house with binoculars, writing down everything. April 13th, 2 p.m., black Mercedes GLE pulls up. Dealer tags. Rebecca and Elijah get inside, drive around the block 3 times, come back. Salesman talks to them for 20 minutes in driveway. April 14th, 10 a.m., moving truck arrives. Men start carrying furniture out of house. 2 leather sofas, new. Large screen TV, new. All purchased on credit, I assume. April 14th, 3 p.m., Rebecca leaves in Uber, returns at 5 p.m. with shopping bags. Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton. April 15th, 11 a.m., real estate agent arrives, takes photos of house. Rebecca signs paperwork on hood of agent's car. She's selling your house, Dorothy said. She's trying to, I corrected. Attorney Mitchell hired a private investigator. His name was Marcus Webb, former police detective, now private. He was expensive, $200 an hour, but Mitchell said he was worth it. 2 days later, Marcus came back with a file. Mrs. Bell, he said, laying photos on Mitchell's desk. Your daughter-in-law has an interesting history. He opened the file. Rebecca Lynn Taylor, born March 3, 1990, Rock Hill, South Carolina. Married Daniel James Crawford, July 14, 2018, Charleston, South Carolina. Divorced Daniel James Crawford, March 2, 2021. What happened in the marriage? I asked. Marcus pulled out more documents. According to the divorce filing, Rebecca systematically financially abused Daniel Crawford's mother, Margaret Crawford. Margaret was 71, widowed, owned a house worth $380,000 in downtown Charleston. He showed me bank statements. Over 2 years, Rebecca convinced Margaret to sign over power of attorney. Then she took out a reverse mortgage on Margaret's house, $250,000. She opened credit cards in Margaret's name, $67,000 in debt. She cleaned out Margaret's savings account, $43,000. I felt sick. When Daniel found out, he confronted Rebecca. She claimed Margaret had given her permission. Margaret was too confused and scared to contradict her. Daniel filed for divorce. But before it was finalized, Margaret had a stroke. The doctors said it was stress-induced. She died 4 months later. Did Rebecca face charges? No. Daniel's family tried, but Rebecca disappeared. Moved to Savannah, changed her social circles, met your son. She did this before, I whispered. She's a predator, Mrs. Bell. She finds vulnerable older women, integrates herself into their families, and bleeds them dry. You're not her first victim, but we're going to make sure you're her last. Mitchell subpoenaed Rebecca's financial records. The judge granted it based on the fraud allegation and my ownership of the house. When the bank records came back, Mitchell's face went grim. Mrs. Bell, your daughter-in-law has $89,412 in credit card debt, across 7 cards. He showed me the statements. Designer clothes, $23,000. Restaurants and bars, $17,000. Cash advances, $31,000. There's more, Mitchell said. She's been taking out payday loans, 3 different companies. Total outstanding, $14,800. And Elijah doesn't know? The accounts are in her name only. He probably has no idea. How has she been making payments? Mitchell pulled out another document. She hasn't. Everything's in default. She's been getting sued by creditors. There are 3 active judgments against her, total $36,000. I sat back, stunned. She's desperate, Mitchell said quietly. That's why she needs this lottery ticket. She's drowning in debt and sees this as her life raft. Even though it's not hers. Even though it's not hers. Sister Dorothy called me at 7 a.m. Zora, you need to see this. She'd been checking Rebecca's Instagram. The account was public, at luckybells_85m. I went to Dorothy's house. She showed me on her iPad. Rebecca had posted 12 times since April 13th. Photos of the Mercedes. Caption, dreams do come true, #blessed. Photos of designer shopping bags. Caption, treating myself, I deserve it, #new life. A video of her and Elijah at a fancy restaurant. Caption, celebrating our good fortune with my amazing husband. Some people doubted us, but God provides. The comments were interesting. Where's your mother-in-law? Didn't she used to live with you? I heard you kicked out an old lady to celebrate your win. This feels wrong. Rebecca had replied to that last one. My mother-in-law gifted us this ticket as an early inheritance. She insisted. We're so grateful and we're setting her up in a beautiful retirement home. She's lying on the internet, Dorothy said. She's creating evidence, I corrected. Every post she makes proves she believes the ticket is hers. When the truth comes out, all of this will show her intent. Attorney Mitchell called me at 4 p.m. Mrs. Bell, Rebecca just filed an emergency petition with the Chatham County Court. She's seeking legal guardianship over you, claiming you're mentally incompetent. She's also filed a claim for ownership of the house, arguing that since Elijah is co-owner and she's his wife, she has legal right to evict you. When's the hearing? May 2nd. That's 12 days from now. Good, I said. That gives us time to prepare. Mrs. Bell, are you sure you want to go through with this? Court cases are stressful. Mr. Mitchell, I've spent 7 years being erased in my own home. I'm not disappearing quietly. Understood. Then let's win. I asked Elijah to meet me. Just him, at the Peachtree Inn. He showed up at 2 p.m., looking terrible, unshaven, bags under his eyes, wrinkled clothes. He sat in the plastic chair by the window. I sat on the bed. For a full minute, neither of us spoke. Finally, Mom, I'm sorry. For what, Elijah? For everything. For letting Rebecca treat you like that. For not standing up. For, his voice broke. For taking the ticket. You didn't find it, did you? He looked at the floor. Elijah, look at me. He did. His eyes were red. The morning you found that ticket, did you see the signature on the back? Long silence. Then barely a whisper. Yes. My heart broke. You saw my name. I saw it. And you said nothing. He put his head in his hands. We were drowning, Mama. Rebecca's been lying to me about money for 2 years. I just found out last week she has almost $90,000 in credit card debt. We were about to lose everything. And then that ticket was just there. And I thought, you thought you could take it. I thought you wouldn't need it as much. You have your pension, you own the house, and we had nothing. So you let her throw me out. I didn't know she was going to— Yes, you did. My voice rose for the first time. You knew exactly who she was, Elijah. You've watched her abuse me for 7 years. You've stood by while she made me live in the attic. You've said nothing while she took my money, my home, my dignity. You knew who she was and you chose her anyway. He was crying now. I'm sorry, Mama. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 7 years. I know. Sorry doesn't undo watching my wedding china shatter in the street. I know. Your father would be ashamed of you. He flinched like I'd hit him. I let the silence sit. Then I said quieter. There's a court hearing on May 2nd. Rebecca's trying to get guardianship over me. Trying to claim the house. Trying to take the lottery money. Are you going to stand with her? No. No? He looked up. No, Mama. I'm done. I filed for divorce yesterday. I blinked. You what? I can't do this anymore. I can't be this person. Dad raised me better than this, and I've been— He wiped his eyes. I've been a coward, but I'm done. Where are you staying? Motel 6 on Abercorn. Kai and Amara are with me. Rebecca's alone in the house. How are the kids? Confused, scared. Kai keeps asking when he can see you. My heart ached. Soon, baby. Tell them soon. Elijah stood. Mama, at the hearing, I'm going to tell the truth. Everything. About the signature, about Rebecca's debt, about what she did to you. I'm going to testify against her. That will destroy your marriage. It's already destroyed. Has been for years. He walked to the door, then turned back. I don't expect you to forgive me. I need you to know I'm trying to do the right thing now. Doing the right thing now doesn't erase doing the wrong thing then, Elijah. But it's a start. After he left, I sat for a long time. Then I called Attorney Mitchell. We have our witness, I said. Chatham County Courthouse, Courtroom 3B, Judge Marianne Foster presiding. I wore my purple dress, the good one that didn't go out the window. Pearl earrings, hair in a neat bun. Rebecca wore white. A white dress suit, white heels, hair perfectly styled. Sitting next to her lawyer, William Sheffield, who cost $500 an hour that she didn't have. The gallery was packed. Sister Dorothy, Pastor Thompson, Mr. Sam Williams, neighbors from Whitaker Street. Even some church ladies I hadn't seen in years. Judge Foster was a black woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. We're here on 2 petitions, she began. First, Mrs. Rebecca Taylor Bell's emergency request for guardianship over Mrs. Zora Eleanor Bell. Second, Mrs. Bell's counterpetition regarding ownership of Georgia Powerball ticket number 784539. Let's start with the guardianship claim. Mr. Sheffield? Sheffield stood, smooth, professional. Your Honor, we're here because we're concerned about Mrs. Zora Bell's well-being. At 64 years old, she's showing signs of confusion and diminished capacity. She's making erratic financial decisions. She's become hostile toward family members, and— I'm going to stop you there, Judge Foster said. Do you have medical documentation of this diminished capacity? We do, Your Honor. He submitted the forged document. Judge Foster read it. This is from Dr. Richard Foster. Yes, Your Honor. Any relation to me? Sheffield blinked. I'm sorry? Dr. Richard Foster is my cousin, and I spoke with him yesterday. He's never treated Mrs. Bell. This document is a forgery. The courtroom went silent. Sheffield's face went white. Your Honor, my client provided this. We'll come back to that. Mr. Mitchell, your witnesses? Mitchell stood. Your Honor, I'd like to call Samuel Williams. Mr. Sam took the stand. Told about the night of April 12th. The ticket, the signature, the receipt. And you're certain Mrs. Bell signed that ticket? As certain as I'm sitting here, Your Honor. I watched her do it with my own eyes. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next, Sister Dorothy. She described 7 years of abuse, the isolation, the financial exploitation, the window incident. And you have video of the April 13th incident? Yes, Your Honor. They played it. Rebecca screaming, throwing things, telling me to die in a nursing home. Several people in the gallery gasped. Judge Foster's face hardened. Next, Marcus Webb, the private investigator. He testified about Rebecca's past. Margaret Crawford, the financial abuse, the death. Rebecca's lawyer objected repeatedly, but Judge Foster allowed it. This shows a pattern of behavior, Mr. Sheffield. I'm allowing it. Next, the bank statements. Rebecca's debt. $89,000 in credit cards, $14,000 in payday loans, $36,000 in judgments. Judge Foster's eyebrows went up. Then Elijah. He walked to the stand, wouldn't look at Rebecca. Mr. Bell, Mitchell said gently, on the morning of April 13th, when you and your wife found the lottery ticket, did you see the signature on the back? Long pause. Yes, sir. What did it say? Zora Eleanor Bell, my mother's name. Gasps from the gallery. And did you tell your wife? No, sir. Why not? Because I was scared. Scared of losing everything. Scared of being broke again. So I stayed quiet, and I let my wife believe it was ours. And when your wife threw your mother out of the house, I stood there and watched. I didn't stop her. Why are you testifying today, Mr. Bell? Elijah's voice broke. Because my father raised me to be a man of integrity, and I haven't been. My mother deserves better. She deserves the truth. Rebecca was shaking with rage in her seat. Finally, me. I took the stand, placed my hand on the Bible. Mitchell asked me to tell my story. I did. All of it. 7 years. The bills, the isolation, the abuse, the bike, the lottery ticket. Mrs. Bell, Mitchell said, why didn't you tell them the ticket was yours that morning? Because I wanted to see if they would ask, if anyone in that house still saw me as a person. And they didn't? No, sir. They saw a lottery ticket. They didn't see me. Sheffield cross-examined. Mrs. Bell, isn't it true that you've been resentful of your daughter-in-law for years? I've been hurt by her, not resentful. Isn't it true that this is really about jealousy? An old woman angry at a younger woman? I looked directly at him. Sir, I taught second grade for 30 years. I raised a son alone after my husband died. I opened my home when my child had nowhere to go. I paid $151,000 in bills over 7 years. And for all that, I was told to die in a nursing home. So no, sir, this isn't about jealousy. It's about dignity. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Judge Foster had tears in her eyes. Sheffield sat down. Judge Foster spoke. I've been on this bench for 19 years. I've seen a lot of family disputes, but this case is particularly disturbing. Mrs. Taylor Bell, the evidence against you is overwhelming. You didn't just take a lottery ticket. You took a woman's home, her dignity, her place in her own family, and you did it with calculated cruelty. The lottery ticket legally belongs to Mrs. Zora Eleanor Bell. The signature, receipt, testimony, and video evidence are irrefutable. I'm granting Mr. Elijah Bell primary custody of the minor children with supervised visitation for Mrs. Rebecca Bell, contingent on completing counseling. Mrs. Rebecca Bell, you are also ordered to vacate the property at 847 Whitaker Street within 72 hours. Mrs. Zora Bell is the legal owner. Furthermore, you're ordered to pay restitution to Mrs. Bell, $42,000 for documented bills paid. You will undergo psychological evaluation and complete 200 hours of community service. And Mrs. Taylor Bell, let me be clear, you're not a victim. You're a perpetrator. If you ever attempt to exploit an elder again, you'll face criminal charges. Mrs. Zora Bell, I'm sorry for what you endured. This ruling stands. The gavel struck. 6 months later. I'm sitting on my front porch at 847 Whitaker Street. It's early morning, 6 a.m. The sun is just coming up over Savannah, painting the sky pink and gold. I've got a cup of coffee, real coffee, the good kind, and I'm wearing my purple bathrobe. My silver hair is loose around my shoulders. The November air is cool, but not cold. The house is mine again. All mine. After the trial, I claimed the lottery. Took the lump sum, $52,300,000 after taxes. I paid off the house. Bought it outright from Elijah. He signed over his half of the deed for $1. Symbolic. Then I renovated. New roof, new paint, lavender on the outside, Jerome's favorite color. New kitchen with marble counters and an island big enough to roll out dough. New bathrooms. Refinished the hardwood floors. I turned the attic into the Jerome Bell Library. Filled it with his books, his records, his chair from the living room. Sometimes I go up there and read, and it feels like he's sitting right beside me. The master bedroom is mine again. I painted it cream with purple accents. Hung our wedding photo over the bed. In the backyard, I planted a rose garden. 47 bushes, one for each year Jerome and I would have been married. They'll bloom next spring. Rebecca is gone. Moved back to South Carolina somewhere. She sends child support when she remembers. $60 a month, which is all she can afford. She's working retail, paying down her debt slowly. She'll be paying for the next 20 years. She wrote me a letter once, 3 months ago. Said she was in therapy. Said she was sorry. Asked if I could forgive her. I wrote back, Rebecca, I hope you find peace. I hope you become the mother my grandchildren need. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and you're not welcome in my home. Respect that, and we can coexist. She hasn't contacted me since. Elijah lives 4 blocks away now, a small apartment on Gaston Street. He's got the kids. They're with him full time. He's working steady at the port, same place Jerome worked. He's in therapy twice a week. He's learning. We have dinner once a month, slowly rebuilding. It's not easy. Trust isn't something you rebuild overnight, but he's trying, and that counts for something. Kai and Amara come over every Saturday. We bake cookies. I teach them to read like I taught their daddy. Kai has that turquoise bike now. I bought him a new one. He rides it up and down Whitaker Street, and every time I hear his laughter, something in me heals. I set up a trust for them. $3 million each. They can't touch it until they're 25, and only for education or starting a business. By then, they'll understand the value of money earned and money given. The rest of the money? $20 million went into the Jerome Bell Memorial Fund. Scholarships for Black students at Savannah State University. 500 students so far. $5 million went to Mount Zion Baptist Church. New roof, new pews, new community center. $2 million went to starting the Zora Bell House of Dignity, a shelter for elderly victims of family financial abuse. 6 rooms, counseling services, legal aid. We opened it in August. It's full. The first resident was a 71-year-old Black woman named Patricia whose son stole her pension. When I showed her to her room, clean, safe, with her own bathroom and a view of the garden, she cried. Welcome home, sister, I told her. I kept $15 million for myself. Enough to live comfortably. Enough to help when needed. Enough to never be vulnerable again. This morning, Sister Dorothy comes across the street with a plate of biscuits. We sit on the porch and eat them with honey butter, watching the neighborhood wake up. You look peaceful, she says. I am peaceful. You earned it. I did. Later, Pastor Thompson stops by. He's writing a sermon about forgiveness and wants my input. Pastor, I say, forgiveness isn't the same as reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still protect yourself from them. That's wisdom, not weakness. He writes that down. In the afternoon, I work in the garden, my hands in the soil, the sun on my face, gospel music playing from the speaker on the porch, Mahalia Jackson, Jerome's favorite. I'm 65 years old now. My hair is silver. My hands have age spots. My knees hurt when it rains. But I'm free. Free from people who saw me as a convenience instead of a person. Free from a house that felt like a prison. Free from silence that was slowly erasing me. At 6 p.m., Kai and Amara arrive with Elijah. He kisses my cheek, tentative, still earning back affection, and the kids hug my legs. Grandma Zora, Amara squeals. Can we make cookies? Of course, baby. We go inside. My kitchen, my house, my life. While the cookies bake, I teach Amara her ABCs. Kai reads to me from a chapter book. He's in 3rd grade now, reading at 5th grade level. Elijah watches from the doorway, something like regret in his eyes. You did good, Mama, he says quietly. I did what I had to do, I correct, and you're doing better. That's all I can ask. After they leave, I sit alone in the living room. Jerome's photo on the mantel, the lottery ticket, framed, hanging beside it. Zora Eleanor Bell, my signature, my name, my life. On the wall opposite, I hung something else. The expense notebook, open to a random page, mounted under glass. A reminder. Above it, a small plaque. A signature is a promise. This one kept mine. I pour myself a glass of sweet tea, sit in Jerome's chair by the window, watch the sun set over Savannah, and I think, at 65 years old, I learned something. The greatest victory isn't the money, it isn't the house, it isn't even the justice. The greatest victory is waking up every morning and knowing that you chose yourself, that you chose truth over comfort, that you chose dignity over peace, that you refused to disappear quietly. I learned that patience isn't the same as silence, that kindness isn't the same as weakness, that forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. And I learned that sometimes the people who should protect you won't, so you protect yourself. And you build a life so solid, so true, so yours, that no one can ever take it from you again. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with the mayor. They want to make the House of Dignity a city-funded program, expand it, help more people. Next week, I'm speaking at a conference on elder financial abuse in Atlanta. Next month, I'm taking Kai and Amara to Disney World. Just the three of us, making memories. But tonight, I'm here, in my house, on my porch, drinking my tea, humming gospel songs, at peace. I'm Zora Eleanor Bell. I'm 65 years old, and this is my story. If it's reached you, wherever you are in this world, I hope it reminds you of something. You are never too old to stand up. You are never too quiet to speak truth. You are never too kind to demand respect. And your signature, your name, your life, your dignity, is worth fighting for. Always. The sun dips below the horizon. The porch light flickers on. Somewhere down the street, children are playing. Life goes on, and I'm here to see it. Free, whole, mine.